Hello, everyone. This is Darth Coonstyle here with the very first episode of a brand new series. I'm calling it Minecraft Mechanics, and in this very first episode, we're going to be talking about spawn mechanics. There's been so many times that I've actually been asked, how do you make a nether hub spawn proof? And it's actually fairly easy, but the thing is that you have to take into account the actual spawn mechanics of various mobs. So let's just jump right into it. This is actually a little mock-up of the various items that will be spawn proof. Now, keep in mind that this is regardless, at least on this level, of light level. Mobs will not be able to spawn on any of these things. So here we have a carpet. Mobs cannot spawn on carpet. So pigmen, for example, these guys, these little bastards, they turn around and are able to spawn regardless of light levels. So you have to block them from any other mean, which would be carpets. This is actually a path block. Buttons and pressure plates do not allow spawning. Here on top of these light sources, both glowstone and sea lanterns, mobs are not able to spawn. Also, mobs are not able to spawn on fences. Obviously, they're not able to spawn on slabs. That's probably like one of the most common ones used in the nether. But they also, at least as of 1.9, were not able to spawn on rails or redstone anymore. No mob in the game can spawn on bedrock, nor can they spawn on grass, or glass panes. Stairs are not spawnable either, and neither are hoppers. Now, keep in mind that you can use any combination of these blocks and any variant. So, in other words, you can use nether brick slabs, you can use whatever, to actually block mobs from spawning, especially in the nether. Things that I always get asked questions about are actually flowers, saplings, and grass. Mobs can spawn right on top of them. Dispensers and droppers as well, they can spawn right on top of. Actually, something that they cannot spawn on, which just should have been down there, I don't know why I put it up here, but they cannot spawn on this. They used to be able to in some of the earlier snapshots when this was available, the magma blocks, but they are no longer able to spawn on them, regardless of the light level that was originally introduced. I actually just did a test in a test world where I created a super flat world with just magma for one level, and then like 8 levels above it I put bedrock, because one of the things people don't realize is that these actually capture the light level that they are exposed to. So like if somehow I was able to reduce the light level in here, these would remain 9 and 8, okay, or actually all 9s. The reason that they're 9s is because the ambient light level, probably because I have torches over here, are 9. However, even if the light level is 0, nothing can spawn on them. Mobs can spawn on half slabs that are on the upper side. So, for example, here they cannot spawn. However, here they can. So if you're going to make a staircase out of slabs, keep in mind that, especially in the nether, mobs can actually spawn on this regardless of light level. So you can have a light level of 15 here, and pigmen can still spawn. Also, something that's spawnable are signs. Anything you can walk through for the most part that isn't redstone related is actually spawnable. And believe it or not, any block that there's a torch on is also spawnable. At least for pigmen, because again, they ignore light levels. Ghasts do as well, I do believe, last I checked anyways. And all ghasts need is a 5x5x5 area to spawn in. So yeah, that's one of the things you got to keep in mind. Granted, they didn't spawn on there this time, but they could spawn right here just as easily. All right. So, little lesson there is that yes, all these blocks down here plus the magma cubes, or what are these called exactly? Magma blocks, I guess. Magma blocks. They are spawnable, or these are not spawnable, but the rest of this up here is. Now, if you're talking about overworld mechanics, every mob in the overworld, as long as there is, if you can see in here in the upper left corner, the light levels right below where it says Biome Hell. Anything 7 or lower, mobs can spawn in. So, like if this was the overworld right now, they couldn't spawn anywhere over here because, hey, there's a light level above 7. However, if you come into an area like back here, a mob could spawn. Remove the carpet. A mob could spawn exactly right here, right? So something to keep in mind when you're dealing with trying to spawn-proof an area. The overworld is much easier to spawn-proof. All you have to do is add this light. However, in the Nether, that's a little bit different. And that will segue now to another. Majestic, isn't it? This is another fortress, and it does have some of its own spawn mechanics. First off, blazes and wither skeletons both will spawn here. So we see wither skeletons. Wither skeletons will actually only spawn with a light level of 7 or below. And it's a very interesting thing because technically they are in this game, they're considered regular skeletons. Skeletons have a chance, under normal spawn mechanics, they have an 80% chance in this game to actually be spawned as wither skeletons. So that's why sometimes you'll see a regular skeleton mixed in with them because there's a 20% chance it'll just be a normal skeleton. They only spawn within an invisible bounding box that pretty much goes, I would say, from usually about 10 to 15 blocks above the lava, so to speak. Because it's not always lava, but wherever the lava level would be in the actual dimension. And it usually goes a few blocks above the top of the actual fortress. Now, keep in mind that it's only within the same chunks. So there's actually... let me look it up real quick. It's Show Chunk Boundaries, F3G. You can actually see here that this is the boundary of the actual chunk that this fortress was generated in. So technically you could expand this layer out here all the way up to this point, and you can actually spawn wither skeletons out this far, which is actually a very useful mechanic if you want to build like a mob farm. So just something to keep in mind. And again, it only goes up so high above. I don't know the exact numbers. It's very, very, very... what is the word? It's very subjective. It depends on how the game actually spawns the actual box of the actual Nether Fortress. But for example, here, if you guys have seen me on a Nova Trail server, I actually made I basically took a fortress where there was a crossroads, and I made multiple floors just like they did on the Hermitcraft server. And the one thing I learned from that experience is that you can actually make, like if you find a crossroads, look at this crossroads here. So even a weather or another fortress here, I could expand it all the way over to here, but there's also one over here too. So you could actually make a huge, huge farm off of this if you really wanted to. This one's like perfect actually. So like you can go from this chunk all the way over to here. You can go further out all the way to this point and then kind of wrap it back around, and you can make a huge, huge, huge actual fortress spawning pads out of this, which is a great mechanic, especially since wither skeletons are such a pain in the neck to come by. Yes, I'm talking about you. But yeah, Just keep that in mind. Also, keep in mind that blazes can spawn at any light level. I believe or below a 7 or 8. I would actually have to look into that to give you the exact number. But all this information is available on various wikis. But I just figured it'd be a little easier for people to be able to see it actually in action instead of just being like, okay, well, let me read a wall of text. So, yeah, let's turn that off. That's kind of getting annoying. Wither skeletons, again, to sum it up, are able to spawn on an actual fortress within their bounding box, and it doesn't have to be nether brick. You can actually use stone if you wanted to, and they're able to spawn on it as long as it's within the bounding box of the actual fortress. Pigmen can also spawn, and you also have to keep in mind gas, so you kind of have to protect yourself with that. But as you can see, like up here, it's within the bounding box, it's on netherrack, and they spawned. A lot of people always ask me, well, how did they spawn on netherrack? They're able to. They don't have to be on nether brick to spawn, as long as it's within the bounding box of the actual fortress. So always keep that in mind, but yeah, you can make very, very productive farms using this technique. So if you guys found this episode informative, please give it a thumbs up and give it a subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I do plan on remaking my Nether Portals tutorial here on this series, and just try to give as much information as I can out to the community. There's so many times I personally have been asked so many questions that I just feel like it's probably a little easier to put a video out and show people. So give this video a thumbs up, and I hope you guys have a terrific day.